Om Vang me manasi pratishthitam mano me vachi pratishthitam Aviravirma edhi vedasyama anistha shrutam me ma prahasi anena dhitena horatran samdadhami Ritam vadishyami, satyam vadishyami, tanmam avatu, tadvaktaram avatu, avatu mam, avatu bhaktaram, avatu bhaktaram. Om Shanti, Shanti. Shanti. Now, by reading this mantra, new thoughts are coming, new perspective. The word is actually the creator of the reality. And because of that, we are used to that the word has to match with the factual reality. And when it is mismatching, then it is lying. Yes, it is not really matching what is really there outwardly in the real world. So the lie is measured by that. The word is not matching with the fact. Fact and the word go astray. But what is interesting is that the word may create a reality. And repeating the same lie many times, it becomes true. It becomes something which is already formed in the consciousness of the person, and that starts determining his behavior, his factual world. It changes, bends the factual world, to its own liking, to its own preference. This is what is happening now in the world. What happened before? So in Second World War, fascist Germany, this propaganda. What is propaganda? Is nothing but repeating something you want to happen. Again and again and again. Doesn't matter that it is not a factual reality, it will become factual. The longer you repeat, the more it possesses you in the mind. This was discovered by the communists in Soviet Russia. And they were first who started actually propaganda. And with propaganda came reklama or advertisement. What is advertisement? It's just telling you that things are what they want them to be for you. And after some time, you just give in. You accept that reality of the word. You see how dangerous it is. So Rakshasas also can use this power of the word to bend the reality in accordance with their own liking. Not only the truth will manifest, because truth, what we want to manifest, is much higher. It doesn't have the reality yet here. Yeah? We want to make it. We want to make the divine reality in the physical. And that alignment we are always looking for. We are looking for the highest alignment of consciousness in us, which is not the factual reality yet here, totally. Potentially, yes, but kinetically not. And in this sense, the word is a very powerful tool for shaping the reality. Of course, the word of the soul, the word of the higher consciousness of the rishis is much more, how to say, powerful, beyond all the minds, whether they follow it or not, expressed in the form, it actually manifests some truth. You know, Lenin was saying, actually it is from Hegel, the idea which possesses masses becomes a force. So this idea was always brought into the masses to make them think in this way. You know? This is brainwashing, basically, by the word. Yeah, such thoughts. If you think of them, it means that the word works in every direction. Of course, the truth, alignment with the truth is much more powerful than alignment with what your desire wants to have. Yes? But even that has its own power and influence and can take the whole, generation of people away from the path of the truth. All right, now we are coming to the hymn. We stopped at number 6. Angirasonaf pitaro navagva atharvano bhregavach somyasach. Atharvanach bhregavach somyasach tesham vayam sumato yajniyanam. Api bhadre saumanase siyama. This was the last verse. Angirasas are our fathers who are Navagvas of 9 rays, and I spoke about this extensively. Atharvans are Bhrigus, who partake of our soma, of our delight. May we be in their perfect mind and bliss and grace of those who are worthy of sacrifice, of those who are worthy of manifesting here in our life. Sacrifice is actually bending our being in accordance with the high ideal. Even not bending it, transforming it. Finally, first bending, accepting, being receptive of it, then allowing it to act within oneself, and then slowly and gradually change the very substance of our nature. And then next verse, prehi pathibhih purviyebhih yatranach purve pitarach pareyuh ubharajana svadhayama danta yamam pashyasi varunam chadevam. Very interesting. Go ahead, go forward by the ancient paths where our ancient fathers have gone. They have gone beyond pareyuh, parayuh, went beyond. Both kings enjoying by offering to Pitris, exclaiming Svadha. You should see thus Yama, Pashyasi, this is subjunctive, let, in a Vedic subjunctive. You should see Yama, Varunam Chadevam, and God Varuna. I'm not writing here any interpretation, though I should, but I will be speaking about it, so I didn't really make notes. So, to whom does he speak? Prehi, pathibhih, purviyebhih, yatra naf purve pitaraf pareyuh. He speaks to the soul, to the human soul. Go forward by ancient paths where our first Pitris went abroad, went beyond. Ubharajana, both kings, Svadhayama Danta, both enjoying with Svadha exclamation, which we make here. We make Svadha exclamation for Pitris. Yamam Pashyasi, you should see Yama, Varunam Chadeva, and Varuna God. So the person who actually follows this command after death, most probably, because prehi, literally later in all classical Sanskrit literature means to leave the body, to move forward. Move forward means drop the body and move forward into the next. It's an interesting kind of move forward, go forward to another incarnation. with the paths, by the paths, ancient paths, purviyebhih, where our first Pitris went abroad or beyond. The first Pitris are our ancestors, the soul which represent us here in the lower manifestation, and where, it continues, both kings enjoy or rejoice by svadha, which we exclaim here. We exclaim svadha by establishing their purpose in this manifestation. Self-establishment we create for them here. We acknowledge the purpose of this manifestation to bring more and more spiritual presence into our bodies. That is svadha, into the physical manifestation. And Ubharajana Svadhayama Danta, and both kings enjoying with Svadha, exclamation which we made here for the Pitris. Because Pitris are looking carefully of our journey. They are supporting our journey constantly because they are interested in us succeeding. Why? Because in the future generations, they are engaged. Yes? So my son, my grandson, and so on, my grandchildren and grandchildren are becoming the formation for their own embodiment. So that formation has to be much more evolved, much more developed, capable of receiving more spirit. That's the whole svadha, self-establishment. And rejoicing with the self-establishment in the physical manifestation, you should see Yama and Varuna Deva. Why Varuna and Yama together? It's kind of very interesting. There's no explanation to it whatsoever wherever you will look. You will find some association in Puranas with Yama and Varuna. They are both some kind of in the darkest spot and so on, but it is more misinterpretation in my view. In the Vedic terms, Yama is responsible for the soul and its own journey. You know, he is the son of Vivasvat. He is Vaivasvata, of the Lord of the Sun, of the supramental Sun involved in manifestation. And Varuna represents the purity of the divine existence. That means Sat. He represents Sat in the highest sense, or in the lowest, the material body. So we have two, the Yama, who is the representative of the soul, engaged in the material body, which has to become the divine body, the divine existence. And so Varuna is in charge of our material substance and existence in the material frame, whereas Yama is in charge of our soul. Why Varuna is mentioned? Because you will see the purpose of the divine body, of the embodiment in the physical framework. You will see the purpose. The divine existence is the purpose. The purity of the divine substance is the purpose. So you should see Yama, who is the supporter of our soul's journey, and you will see the Varuna as the supporter of our manifestation in the physical body, creating the divine body, as Sri Aurobindo says. Sri Aurobindo says the whole term, the divine body. I think this is a super direct indication of this, how Veda is relating to the integral yoga, because of Varuna. And the definition of Varuna as the purity of the divine existence is given by Sri Aurobindo. It's not me making it up. The same with Yama. It is his definition. I'm following his keys. You will not find this interpretation anywhere, even approximately. Nobody will dare to speak this way. But that is the purpose of sacrifice. The growth of the soul and the growth of the instruments, the body. The bodies are to grow and to become more and more embodying the spirit, becoming open and receptive of the spirit, and then finally become themselves a spiritual embodiment and purity of the divine existence. This is the aim. And that's why you should see Yama, the soul, growth of the soul, reincarnations, constant journey of the growth of the psychic being in manifestation, and the purpose of the body becoming the divine body. Samgachasva, very beautiful. Samgachasva pitribhih samyamena. Ishtapurtena parameviyoman. Hitvayaya. Avadyam punar astam. Hitvayaya vadyam punar astamehi. Hitvaya vadyam punar astamehi. Samgachasva tanua suvarcha. So wonderful. Go together with Pitris, together with the Yama, and with your free and preordained actions, or in accordance or by the power of your Ishtapurtena. Ishtapurta is the very cryptic term coined from the Vedic times and actually endured through all classical literature and all yogic literature. Ishtapurta. If you look at this, you will see filled up or stored up sacrificial rites, or the merit of sacred rites and stored up in heaven. Ishta is desired or sacrificed. Purta is fulfilled. By the fulfillment of your sacrificial actions, literally. Parame Vyoman, in the highest heaven. Vyoman here is the locative, Vedic locative. It should be Vyomani, or Vyomani in classical, but it is Vyoman without E. Parame is also locative. Parame Vyoman, when you say it, means in the highest heaven. Hitvaya. Hitvaya is the absolutive, Vedic absolutive, having left the unspoken thing. Avadyam, something which should not be pronounced or should not be. How interesting. They are always speaking about unspoken or something which should not be expressed in consciousness because it creates the obstacle for the development. It is that what we were starting our session with, that the word can create its own reality. And that's why it is one has to be very careful what one says, what one speaks. Yes. Why the truth is to be spoken, truth which is to be manifested, not the truth which is not to be expressed. Because there is a lower truth, truth of the darker being, and that should not be expressed. Avadyam, there is a special term for it. In Sanskrit, especially in the Veda. So having left all that which should not be spoken because it blocks our journey, punarastamehi, come again to your home. Astam. Interesting. I think this astam is the Vedic word for the home in the higher sense. Home where the souls live. Interestingly, that we have this astam gacchati. You remember in our class, Sanskrit? It is setting of the sun. It is not used anywhere else. Only the sun comes home. Yeah? That astam word used only in this context. It is not used in any other context as a home. But here, astam ehi, go home, means go to your original home from where souls came for rest, to stay there. Samgachasva tanua varchasa. And join, take another body, being full of perfect light. Where will you find such literature? I don't know. There is no such literature anywhere in the world. There is nothing comes close. Not even Upanishads and the Gita, such beautiful and powerful literature. And this is just exceptional in every way. It speaks to our souls. It speaks to us, to our inner being, without any other context, bypassing all those temporarily existence altogether. And then apeta vita, interesting, apeta vita vicha sarpatatach. Asma etam pitaro lokam akran. Ahobhich adbhich aktubhich viyaktam. Yamo dadati avasanam asmai. This is really as if Yama himself is the Rishi, and he is the Rishi of this hymn. Get out, go away, and get dispersed, get lost. For him, this world the fathers made. By the days and waters and the nights it is manifested. Yama gives this resting place to him. Literally, apa iha ita, get away. Vita, get out. Vi sarpatatach, really get dispersed, move out. Sarpa, srip root, is to slip. Like sarpa is the snake, but it is this movement, slippering movement. Slip away. Yes? Somebody was saying something. Robin was saying something.
No? No. I should turn my...
Oh, no issue. Visrip, to glide, to move along or about, or sneak, steal, to fly about, and so you can see all this. But these are made up meanings in English, yeah? Visrip sarpayati, to spread even, diffuse, get lost, let us say, get diffused. So drop off all this. Asma etat pitaro lokamakran, because for him these pitris, they made this world. Ahobhich, by the days. Ahar, we learned this new word. Ahobhich, by the days. Adbhich, by the waters, we will learn this also. Aktubhich, by the nights, or by the lights, or by the alternation of lights and nights. We spoke about this word. Aktu, from vyakti also. Vyaktam, next word, is manifested. So what is the manifestation? Manifestation is made by days and nights and by the waters. The waters of Varuna, or those substance, pure substance of the divine existence. All this manifestation is made. Yamo dadati avasanam asmai, and Yama gives to him the resting place. Avasanam. Interesting, avasanam word is where the horses are unharnessed. Stopping, resting place, residence. Termination, conclusion, cessation. Just look at these words. So it is coming to the end of one's journey. Yama gives you, imparts on you this resting spot at the end of your journey. So,
Vladimir,
yeah,
who is he telling to get out of the way?
yeah, to us, to human soul. Yeah.
So, Vladimir, the place that the fathers have provided is the same as the place that Yama provides.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
It was made by Pitris, yes. Etam lokam akran, they made this word. Pitarach. It's interesting that Pitris is, we spoke about this, and Angirasa rishis are kind of mixed up, but they have something in common and something different. Pitris are responsible for the building up the manifestation for the divine, yes? And Yama found the way back to the place where the psychic being, as a delegate from the unborn self into the midst of time and space and taking bodies, constantly reincarnating, finds its way back to the loka which Pitris made. Because Pitris are interested in the embodied state. So, because they are there, so to say, and the whole moon and the Pitriyana is there, they are in charge of building the body. But to build the body, the soul is needed. Yeah? You cannot build the body without the delegation of the soul. So the soul was delegated, and Yama is in charge of that delegation, or that journey back to the world of Pitris who are interested in building up the body. So this mixture is very difficult to see immediately. It took me, and it takes me still, it's a long time, and most probably will never know it till the end until I see it totally in experience. But now I understand better why they are mixed up. Angiras Rishi is responsible for the soul, and the Pitris, who are responsible for the body, because both are here for one and the same thing, the embodiment of the divine. There is no Devayana without Pitriyana. That's what I want to say. There is no Pitriyana without Devayana. There is no such thing. It's impossible. Yeah? Because both are playing the role for this particular action to embody the divine. And the delegate of the soul was made for that purpose only. And so it has to come to the first manifestation, first creation, take onto itself all the darkness and start building the body. And leave the trace, genome, genetic code to the future generations. All the changes are recorded and all the changes are embodied in the next bodies. Next bodies are better and better and better, more receptive of the spirit. They are more open to the higher consciousness. And that is the whole process in time. And Pitris are interested in us leaving the progeny. Progeny is not necessarily only children, but also the facts of our interaction with the spirit. First, I thought that progeny is the most important. Now I think that it is less important than that, what we call apogenetic influence. We are generating in our consciousness a perception of the spirit which is contagious to other human beings. It spreads. The progeny is not only through genome, my genome to my son or children, but it is also apogenetic influence on the genome of others by my being receptive of the spirit. The vibration in me is contagious to others, and they may generate that vibration in themselves and pass it through genome or pass it through epigenetic influence on others. It goes in waves. Does it make sense? It's like teaching, like a religion, like guru is there, something. And we learned from Sri Aurobindo all these things. Look what waves he created for us. He changed our lives. And we, being kept by this, spiritual sweetness of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, start to generate it and vibrate it for others. Or even for the world at large, not even for others, for nature, for surrounding, for plants around us, for animals around us. Doesn't matter. This light is contagious, changes our substance, our ways of being. I would not kind of believe in it if I would not know that there is an epigenetic influence. You know this word. I'm not distorting it. No, that there are not necessarily changes in genome, but slight modulation in the opening of the genetic, code, or slight adjustment in the perception of things which is taking place. It doesn't change the being, but it changes something on the longer run. On the longer run, something happens.
It makes sense actually, because we do notice the subtle inner changes that happen in us. And I think that's what you're referring to, that over time, it is an epigenetic change. And after we leave the body, this is what the Pitris make use of, or it goes into a genome pool for others, to create the substance of their body.
Right.
It makes sense, actually. I think if I've got it the right way, this is how I understood.
I think it's epigenetic, yes? Epigenetic change. I just don't remember exactly the word somehow because I never use it. But when I read about this kind of light influence on genome, epigenetic, I think it is. I'm checking. Yeah, epigenetic change. Epigenetics, there is the whole science, it seems. Epigenetics, which is not changing the genome, but opens up possibilities, kind of reaction to certain environment. Yeah. Look what Sri Aurobindo and Mother did, what Vedas did for us, what they created. They created the whole civilizations afterwards on this epigenetic form change. The whole Indian civilization is built on it without knowing, just interpreting, creating new texts, and still it's not exhausting it. Yeah, it's just all going around and around until it is really reaching the very idea of the full transformation of our being. And Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, their influence, the force which comes down, descends. This is the most powerful agent of change. Yeah? It doesn't have to change my genome. It will change the whole around as it wants it to be changed. So this manifestation is maintained by days and nights, the alternation of up and down. We are rising in spirit and we are diving into the inconscient, and again higher and lower. And by the waters. Waters are the agents of the spirit, actually, connecting the higher and lower. These are the streams, the rivers, the currents of the spirit, those Ila Saraswati Mahi, yes, the revelation, inspiration, and the vastness. They are an intuition, those currents, streams of higher spiritual consciousness. They're charging us constantly in this alternation of days and nights. And so Yama gives to the one who is moving forward the place to rest, the conclusion, the termination of his embodied state, of his manifested state. He grants him the place for rest. Atidravah sarameya shuvanao. Atidrava sarameyao shuvanao chaturakshao shabalao sadhuna patha. Chaturakshao shabalao sadhuna patha atha pitrin suvidatram upehi yamena ye sadhamadam madanti. I just don't get the rhythm yet. Ati drava sarame yao shvano. Okay. Ati drava sarame yao shvano chaturakshao shabalao sadhuna patha. One extra syllable. Athapi trin suvidatram upehi yamena ye sadhamadam madanti. Can't fit. Okay, run faster by the right path, following Sarameya four-eyed and dappled heavenly hounds. Thus approach fathers who know perfectly, who enjoy with Yama the unity feast. Sadhamadam Madanti, who enjoy, rejoice, are intoxicated with the delight together. So the Pitris and Yama are actually in the one higher feast, enjoying their souls coming up with their, development, with their growth and evolution, their evolved soul. Every time soul arrives back to the house of rest in heavens, it is always better and better, more developed, more evolved soul. And there is a joy to be shared with Pitris, with the achievements of the soul, with its growth. It's like a child grows, becomes more and more adult. And you can see, oh, you grew so much, you learned so much, you have so much to share, the joy of your growth. Run faster by the right path. O Sarameya four-eyed and dappled hounds. These two Sarameya dogs, or hounds of heaven, they are the companions, or the what do you call them? They come from Yama. Yama sends them as the consorts. They are consorts of the soul. They are helping the soul to travel through the dangerous zone. So the soul has to cross the very dangerous zone of the vital world, especially the abyss. Particularly when it comes out, there is a very huge gap which has to be crossed, the field which is dangerous, open to the below and to the above. And all kind of creatures try to get advantage of the soul in the spirit. So that's why these Saramaya dogs, it's from Sarama, actually, from intuition. Yeah, Saramaya, it is children of Sarama. And they have 4 eyes. They look in all 4 directions, so they see the danger coming from any side. And they are very powerful, of course. And they sadhuna patha, by the right path, they drive the soul to its home. So the soul, when it leaves the body, may be lost in this infinite ocean of inconscient or superconscient. There is an infinity there in the vital world. So not to be lost, to be on track. These Saramaya dogs are consorts. They are the helpers of the soul to travel to the place where it should go.
Is the soul aware of the dogs?
I do not know whether the soul is aware of them. Most probably some souls are aware of these. But Saramaya dogs, when we call them dogs, by dogs, Sri Aurobindo explains why Sarama is a hound of heaven, because she catches the scent and she follows the scent like running through to the point. Yeah? So these Saramayas also, they do not kind of run around or go astray. They cannot be lost. Once they catch the smell, they go straight to the point. So these Saramaya dogs, most probably, that is the major characteristics, though they are like intuitions, which are leading the soul straight to its place of rest, without deviating from the path. But there is something sent from Yama. It's interesting. Some powers of intuition are helping soul to come back to its origin. Yeah? This is, you can call it Saramaya dogs, or you can call it something else, but they are there. This intuition of Yama, who is representing our group soul, is actually there to meet the soul and to help it to arrive at its.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, otherwise you may be lost on the way. We can't imagine how infinite it is, this universe in the subtle world. And
So they so they are dogs in the same sense that Go is both light and cow.
right, absolutely, in the same way. Shvan, you see Shvan now. Shvana or Shvanaha, the same word which we learned just recently. And Schwanz is from the smell, yes, from the breathing. They are like catching the scent and they run onto the life force. And like in that sense, they are the dogs, and not in any other. And they are protectors. It's interesting because nobody can approach because these Saramaya dogs, they are very powerful also. You cannot fight with them. Yeah? They are the really protectors of the soul. There are many aggressive forces which would like to take advantage of this passage of the soul and rob it of its energy, of its light, of its life energy, to make it a slave somewhere in the vital world. These slavery dungeons we call hell. Yeah, the hell is where the soul is captive by these forces, and this may happen if soul is unexpectedly leaves, or some accident happened, or whatever, maybe suicide, something which was not decided by the soul. Then it can be grabbed and put into the dungeon of the vital for some time until it is robbed, and then it will be released and will start again a journey. So in that sense, Catholicism is quite right that suicides have very kind of endanger themselves to this particular passage. Because the soul did not decide. And since soul did not decide, but the mind decided, or fear of the vital or something decided for the soul, then the connection with Yama is not really established, because Yama feels the soul's decision and sends his consorts to help the soul when soul decides to leave. Yeah? And that is a very different situation if when you with your mind or your fear or your preference or dogma decide to leave the body. So there is no connection established immediately, and that delay may be very dangerous.
Vladimir, I just thought of something that nowadays many people are choosing when to die, and what is that called? I forget that. So that kind of thing must be extremely dangerous to do,
In a way, yes.
because that decision is being made by the mind.
Yeah. By the fear, by the pain, by this, by that. Right.
Where they pull the plug,
Pull the
and the
plug
family.
is not up to him. Yes, it is something like
Family says, okay, pull the oxygen mask out, let him go. The doctor asks there's no point in his existing in a coma. I may not come out of it. So the family says, okay, then pull out the oxygen mask. I mean, the decision is very painful, but the soul has not decided to leave. So then the connection is not made, no?
kind of, yes. Most probably there are all the varieties of cases, and as Mother also points out with the birth, because we are now looking at leaving the body. Yes? The birth is the same, kind of so many varieties for how, when, and how soul comes into body. Here the same, how soul leaves. Yes, it is the best way is when the soul decides to go. Sometimes soul decides to go when the body is quite functional, and not sick at all. Just soul says, okay, it's time. And then the person goes, so takes shower, lies down. I had an uncle who did this. He washed himself, he dressed, changed the clothes, lie down. So it's time for me to go. Everybody came and sat down, and then I started to cry. And then he gets up suddenly. Oh, I have to pee still. He went to pee, came back, lie down, and died. And that's it. Before dying, he went to pee. It's amazing. He took care of himself totally. This is soul's decision. You cannot make it with the mind. This is not cannot be done. But with the mind, you have to harm the body to leave it. And the soul may be not yet finished with its own experience. It did not make a conclusive call. Yes, it's a very tricky situation. There is something else. There is a sacrifice for somebody else's life. Like a person gives his life for saving somebody else. This is considered to be one of the highest, when the soul decides to do it. And it is saved, and it is like battle, like Arjuna, fight. And if you are killed, you go to heaven, straight to heaven. There is no bypassing or something. So there are few cases where there's most probably the endless variety of cases we can look into. But Saramaya dogs are here to help the soul in its journey. The intuitions which are protecting soul on its journey through this passage, then it is not a case. You know that the mother built the tunnel in the vital world for the sadhaks, especially for the sadhakas, for all the beings actually. She built the safe tunnel place, and now people see the tunnel. when they go into this, leave the body, especially those in the clinical death, they come back and they describe there is a tunnel and the light at the end of the tunnel. Or there is a field and you have to cross, or the river you have to cross, and on the other shore of the river you see the field, you see the ancestors from your embodiment, and someone who is from before, whom you even don't know, but you somehow recognize them. You recognize them by vibration, that they belong to the same effort. It's interesting, many people speak about this tunnel. Mother says that she created, as the Divine Mother, created for us a safe passage over this very difficult, transition in the vital world. So I do not know whether Saramaya dogs are still there, those intuitions, but I think that passage is built by this intuition of the Mother, for us to travel. So we should be safe now. It's just a food for thought. In case you want to be safe. We all want to be safe. Nobody wants to be captured somewhere in the dungeon or something.
Vladimir, I also just wanted to say something. I'm probably wasting your time, but this gives me a sense that even after death, it is only yet another world, and we do not know everything even then.
Of course.
So all the other worlds are not necessarily open to us. This is yet another world.
Yeah, our soul knows it, but do we know our soul, what it knows? Yes. So we will know it in the moment when we pass. We will remember. Because we did this many times. We are here the workers of the divine, All our souls are heroic souls of the divine. We are here to build for him the manifestation. It's the most difficult task, to build the manifestation for the divine. We are workers. We are doing it by bringing higher consciousness into our existence, into our activities, into our thoughts, words, feelings. We are constantly tuning to the higher and higher existence. And this is the whole purpose of us being here. There is no other purpose. If you think carefully, you will see that what else you can do here? What for are you here? Nothing can describe. Only this. There's only one purpose. And we forget about it, of course, and we become selfish and this and that. Yes, Selby, you want to say something? No?
Vladimir, there are people who deny death and look upon it as a negative force that should not be. Yesterday I was listening to your Vimeo video, Death, Dying and Beyond, where you were on a panel with Alok Pandey and some people else. And Alok Pandey was talking about death as a fellow who is to be ignored and not given importance, and painted a rather dark picture of death. But when we read these hymns, and what you said after that was very different. But when we read these hymns, then we get a totally different picture. Like Kinshuk said, it's a whole different world there of which we know nothing. So are we in a position to just foo-foo it away and say, don't pay attention, it's not important, and death is just a falsehood, and
Oh, death is not a falsehood. Falsehood is his inborn self, yes. If death is operating by falsehood as his foundation, because it is a distortion of the infinite life, yes. It is that which was fallen from the infinite life. But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that he means to say something else. He means to say once you have the mother's support and presence, you should fix yourself only on it. Yeah, you should not pay attention to anything else. Death comes, it's okay. You're with the mother, always with the mother. Yeah. Death takes you, something happens, okay, you're with the mother. So it is of that kind, I believe, what he wants to say. Otherwise, of course, death is absolutely important for us. It's a passage of our soul, which we have to take very seriously and be ready for it. We have to prepare all our life for this transition. Yeah? It's the most important transition.
There was a question to you, in fact, that girl asked, how do we prepare for death? The facilitator, she asked you that question, how do we prepare for death, therefore? And you said, well, I'm not ready to answer, or something you said, I don't have the answer to how you prepare for it. But I think this knowledge which you're giving us through the hymns is a preparation.
Yeah.
The knowledge is the preparation.
Knowledge is preparation, thinking. We are all thinking about death, not? Are we not? We are thinking about passing, how it will happen, what it is, what shall I do, how I should prepare. This is an important issue, and in the moment of death we will know. There will be indication, the soul will give indication. There will be something like, at last you are free. Yeah? Now you know this is for sure. This for sure thing is the soul's decision. Yeah? And then it's not sad at all. You should not be sad about this. You should take it as it should be, as a transition. But in that moment, there will be a kind of overview of all the aspects of your life. It will be like a film, very fast. You will see the most essential psychic elements of your life, where you were awakened in the moment. Yeah, and you will gather the meaning of your life and will see what else is to be done to proceed further. So you will make a decision in the moment of death what you want to be in the next life. And that decision, Mother says, and Gita says the same, is the most important thing for the next reincarnation. That's why it is important that soul decides to live and not the mind. Yeah? Because then you will have this overview of your life and decision made for the next. If you don't have that, if it is interrupted by the mind, then you may have a problem. You will have...
I actually remembered what, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Salmi.
No, I remembered three things I wanted to share. The first relating to death. In the last 2 years, I helped each of my parents through hospice to their deaths. And I did not experience it as their sole decision because both of my parents were very, very strong-minded. And it seemed like both of them resisted for as long as possible. But my father, 3 days before he died, just said, I'm ready to go home now. And I said to him, you are home, because we were doing hospice in the home. But I knew what he meant. And then he went to sleep and slept for 3 days and died. My mother, on the other hand, went through a protracted period of seeing various ancestors and people in her room with her and interacting with them. So many of the things that you were saying, I experienced through their passage. I also wanted to mention, as far as epigenetics, I think it is taken as a scientific truth now that trauma is inherited through generations. And I think that's part of the same idea. It's true of peoples who have been colonized, people who have been traumatized through various means, that their children experience that trauma genetically. even though they weren't alive at the time. Native people speak about this kind of thing, but I think it's a scientifically accepted idea. So why wouldn't the positive side of that be equally contagious? And also at the beginning, when you were speaking of mantra and its effects, I was thinking about the fact that every physical thing, every physical manifestation has involved supermind. And so the mantra and the involved supermind must sort of resonate in the vibrations between them. That how that mantra can help to raise the level of awareness within the physicality, even of the rock or the metal, as Sri Aurobindo says, or the animal, or the plant, the person.
Right.
Anyway, those were my reflections.
Very nice. Actually, Sri Aurobindo speaks about the poetry in the future poetry, that the word comes, consciousness of the word formulation in the poetry comes from different levels. It can come from the higher, from the lower, from the mental, from the vital, and even from the lower vital, formations of the word. So these creatures or these levels of consciousness forces can express themselves through you. So, and that can be direct, something the highest, like all of them are supramental creation, but those lower parts from the lower, they are indirect formulations, so mixed with the egoistic forms of those forces. And in that sense, we have this mass of all possible expressions, which are fighting here, thoughts fighting, and as Sri Aurobindo says in Savitri, fathers the universe, fighting of thoughts is fathering the universe. So this ongoing fight of these different influences of the levels of consciousness, and we are here to give ourselves to the highest possible. And this is the purpose. We cannot give ourselves to the lowest or to those, and it's the easiest to give ourselves to the lowest, because we already worked them out. They are already settled within us. It's very easy to fall back. It's more difficult to move forward. And that is the challenge of our evolutionary process, yes. And every time we move forward, there are more things opening up, which are not, which we cannot perceive now. We cannot receive that force and that consciousness which will come to us in the next reincarnations when we prepared certain stages already. Now we cannot receive them. We even do not know whether they exist. But then later it opens up more and more and more and more. So we have to trust this process of growing into higher consciousness, even if we don't see the final.
I think it was in the first hymn that you did today, you mentioned about, you said that the goal is to embody the divine in ourselves, and something along those lines. I don't remember the exact words that you used, but I was just thinking that that's really the state that we need to be in. And if we're in that state, then as we transition out of this life, that awareness, that presence will be with us. And I was just thinking, as you were talking, I was kind of embodying that practice. I was kind of doing it in myself. And I thought, I could feel it. And there's so much to know. I mean, a lot of what you're describing is a lot of knowledge. It's difficult to really have all of that in our minds. But if we know how to practice, if we know what to do, then that will be with us wherever we go and whatever we're faced with in the afterlife.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I believe that the word is the most powerful agent of consciousness, yes? And if we really tune it rightly to the highest possible expressions, such as Sri Aurobindo's Savitri or the Veda or any philosophy, knowledge, knowledge is not some, flimsy kind of thinking which has no relevance or practicality here. Somebody said to the mother, can you give us something practical? You're speaking all this, spiritual stuff. Give us something practical. And she says, you think this spiritual knowledge is not practical? It is the most practical. It is the vastest influence on all, vaster than all your practicalities. Your practicalities is small, vibration between yes and no, and okay, you know how to put the nail into the wood, and so what? It's good, but it is not enough. There must be more. And so India, in that sense, is totally word-oriented. Yeah? It's always imagination, it's always thinking, it's always feeling. That tuning to the word is so important. The word is the power of consciousness. The word creates, manifests the higher consciousness, and not absence of the word. Without the word, the higher consciousness cannot be manifested. We will be very much delayed in its manifestation without the word. We will go very slow, infinitely slow. Of course, nature will do it anyhow, but it will take a long time, infinitely long. That's why the prayer, that's why the calling. What is the calling? Is the word. You call with the word. And the word doesn't have to be only verbal word. It can be speech, a gesture, a movement, an aspiration is the word, actually. It can be silent word, aspiring to the truth. Great. Okay, we can stop here for today. We're already over time, 11 and 11. And let us finish this hymn next time. And then we will take Yama and Yami, and that would be our kind of group of hymns dedicated to Yama. Yami plays the same role as Yama plays for our traveling to the resting place. Yami will draw us back to the manifestation. She will provide all the necessary help to find our location which we need for our work here on earth. All right, I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om. Namaste.